For most of my life, I didn't fit in with my surroundings. Like, for example, talking with my classmates about their activities that they did in their free time, with my brother, and all the different kinds of memes that he liked to talk about. And also with my father. I never really enjoyed fishing that much, but with him, I always just went ahead and tried it anyway. And with my mother also. You see, my mother is a really big extrovert. She really likes to talk to everyone. She likes to talk in a higher pitch so that everyone can hear her. She likes to talk in a loud voice so that everyone can hear her. And she is really good at it. She isn't annoying or anything. She isn't mean. She isn't a bad person that will make your day even worse. But she just followed the wrong advice. The advice of you should just enjoy your teens and your 20s. And that led her to the path that she's on right now in life. She doesn't have a bad life. Like, of course, we are financially secure and everything, but she has to work a shitty job. And then there's me. You see, for most of my life, I was that quiet kid who just sat in his chair all day without talking to anyone in class. I didn't enjoy any clubs, any, for example, football matches, or any kind of outdoor activities in general. Not because I didn't have any interest in it, but because I just didn't fit in and it didn't attract me as much to join them. However, my mom was the polar opposite. The extrovert that she is, she used to attend every single club that was in our primary school back then. She used to talk to basically anyone, like the entire village would know about her. But the thing was, she could afford it, because she was a nice looking young woman back then. And I wasn't a good looking young man. Like, sure, I had good genetics from my parents, so I was kind of cute, but I was still awkward. I wasn't doing any of the looks maxing stuff like fixing my hair, taking deodorant, exercising so that my muscles would grow. And when you also combine this with my serious nature, basically, yes, I am the kind of guy that when you talk to him, I am really happy to talk to you. But you see, in my free time, I like to think a lot. And about serious topics also, like big life decisions. Like, for example, what type of video would I upload today? Or for example, how big the universe is. And all of these deep questions that I like to think about for tens of minutes, probably even few hours at the end. And so whenever I think, I have this really serious face on me. But don't get put out by that, because I'm more than happy to talk to you, okay? And it wasn't like I had bad relationships with the people around me. My brother loved me, of course, and my father also. And my classmates didn't have anything against me. And sure, sometimes I would put on a fake mask just to fit in with them just for a second because of the loneliness and the lack of people that were on the same wavelength as me. You know, like really serious thinkers who love to read books and get more knowledge and who have really old souls. You see, my mom wants the best for me, but this advice that she talked to me about when I was 14 years old was not one of the best advice that she has ever given to me. Because when I was 14, she talked to me about how I should stop being so serious all the time, like how I should be more extroverted, how I should talk to the people around me more. And I believed it. So I started to talk more in a higher pitched voice. I started to put on the fake mask most of the time. But not because I wanted to, but because I wanted to get rid of the loneliness. And you might think that it worked, but it didn't. You might think that becoming more extroverted and putting on the fake mask for most of the time, so that I would, have something to talk about with my classmates and with my brother, would actually strengthen our bonds. But no, it actually made them respect me less. And I became just another dumbass from down the road. Another average guy who was living his life to the fullest and indulging in instant gratifications. Like, I never did anything degenerate like going to parties, taking drugs, smoking, drinking alcohol. I never went that far. But I was addicted to social media a lot. And I played a fuck ton of video games. And those two bad habits got even worse after I started to be more social and extroverted. And why? Because 99% of people in my surroundings were average people. The same average people that indulge in the same advice of enjoying their 20s and early teens. I lost my soul. I lost my identity. I was no longer unique. And that would hurt the most. And that made my mental health even worse than it already was. And this peaked when I was around 16 years old. Once in spring of 2023, we were supposed to go to the cinema, and my mom gave me this short-sleeved shirt because it was going to be really hot out there. And this shirt was really colorful. And when I mean really, I do mean really. It looked like the rainbow. It was basically a beach-style shirt. And all of a sudden, something snapped inside of me. Like, of course, it didn't want to, convert me into a homosexual or anything, but this was too colorful, even for me. And so I just said no. And I put on a black shirt instead. And when she came home, boy did she was surprised. I had rejected this extroverted mentality. And on that day, I realized that the past 2 years that I was living my life to the fullest were all bullshit. I had wasted so much of my life living her life, living in her bullshit advice that didn't even work for me. Now keep in mind, my mom isn't a bad mom, of course. She's a really loving person. It's just that this one advice that took 1.5 years away from me was really bad. In the end, it gave me a really powerful lesson. Because on that day I realized that I wasn't compatible with my surroundings. That I was simply a different person. I didn't fit in, and that was okay. Because I was my own self. And she confirmed this. Yesterday we were having this conversation of how I wasn't compatible with the people around me. We were talking about basically how I went out with my buddies yesterday and how and how I really had to put on a fake mask just to, fit in with them. And she confirmed that she does have to put on a fake mask in front of her best friends also most of the time. And she said too that I was unique. But it was okay that I wasn't compatible with my surroundings. And I saw this way better when I got onto self-improvement. When I started to exercise, when I started to read books and gain more knowledge. I suddenly realized that there were hundreds of thousands, even millions of guys out there like me who have the same values, who have the same good habits as me, who love to do the same things, who love to learn about the same things I like to do also. And that I am not the only old soul in this world also. Like there are other old souls who want to talk to me also about deep life questions. It was okay that I didn't get along with my classmates in my primary school. It was okay that I don't really fit in with my brother and talk about all the bullshit from TikTok that he likes to talk about. It's okay that I don't really get along with my father because you're not supposed to live his life anyway. Because just a side note, the only way that you can escape your father's shadow is to live as if he is already dead. That's what I'm doing. He could never imagine something like this, what I'm doing right now, being on self-improvement, improving myself every single day, like reading books, exercising at 5 a.m. in the morning, read books. Like just answer me this. How many people today, how many young guys wake up at 5 a.m. so that they could just exercise? I guarantee to you that in like the entire 100 kilometer radius, there are probably like 3 guys who are your age who probably do it, who probably wake up at 5 a.m. so that they can be productive, because they want to create the best futures for them and for their families also. They want to give out their purpose, their gift to the world, and make a business out of it, to make an active income from it, so that their future wives don't have to work a single day, so that their children are also saved from the education system. Like for example, they could get private education and they are also gonna get quality education about finances from their fathers also, so that they don't end up like the weak people that don't know how to, keep the money engine going inside of their families. I just simply wasn't like them, and I didn't like to talk to them as much. And that's okay, because I am my unique, authentic self, and you are also. So if you never really had the greatest time at your primary school, if you never authentically liked to join any clubs or authentically like to talk to any of your classmates and indulge in the same bullshit as them. You don't have to feel bad, because they are simply not compatible with you. They are weak people who choose to live in instant gratifications, who refuse to work on themselves. They refuse to wake up at 5 a.m. and get to work right away, so that in 6 months they could be retired and their entire family also. They are not your friends. You are only friends with the bad habits that keeps you together. You are authentic. You are yourself. You are unique. And that's what is great about you. And there are millions of people out there who are authentically like you also, and would like to talk to you also, who would love to be your brothers in arms until you die. You don't have to follow the same script that the 99% of people follow, like enjoy their 20s and early teens. You know that as a man, there is this great filter that you will take part in once you turn 30. Because you see, once you turn 30 years old, that's when life really gets difficult. Because you see, as a man, your prime starts at 30 years old. And it is up to you to determine how powerful of a prime you want to have. You can either learn, improve yourself, build online businesses right now during your teens and 20s, so that you can have a wonderful life when you turn 30 years old. Because after you turn 30 years old, making an online business, learning new languages, reading books, buying courses will become infinitely more difficult. Because by then, already the new generation will be born. And, the status quo will change. Probably some other language will take over. The trends will completely shift. And so if you don't do anything about it, and you just continue to indulge in instant gratification activities, like scrolling on TikTok for 10 hours straight, going to parties, playing video games for just 1 hour every single day, I'm just doing it to relax, bullshit. If you choose to fap 10 times per day, if you choose to take drugs, if you choose to drink alcohol, then your prime at 30 years old will look like shit. But I know that you want to choose the first option. Because if you're watching this video 12 minutes in, then I sincerely congratulate you. You don't have a fucked up attention span, and you can actually learn. You can actually sit down and do the work. You can actually focus. And do you know how powerful of an asset that is in this modern world? So you need to get on to self-improvement as soon as possible. You need to start reading books, exercising, doing all the different other good habits that will ensure that you get the perfect relationships with high quality people, like for example your future wife, that quality man we just talked about, that will give you financial, location and time freedom, and that will give you the best physical and psychical health also. But if you have very specific problems that you have done in your past, like for example, there was this one time where the entire class laughed at you, and you basically have other traumatic experiences, then let me give you these 2 very powerful tips that you should start doing today. That will ensure that you will get over your past in no time when you combine it with self-improvement as a whole. The first tip is to level up your stoicism skill. You see, stoicism is this act of taking any bad situation, like for example, any of your mistakes, any of the times that you slipped up and everybody laughed at you, or maybe if you've committed something and there are people coming after you to beat you up, or basically you're in jail, and then taking a lesson from that mistake. Like for example, the story that I was telling you about at the beginning, how my mom sat me down and how we talked about how I should become more extroverted, but then I found out that it was bullshit and I just wasted 2 years of my life. That is a huge lesson, because it made me realize that I was unique, that I was authentic, that I just didn't fit in with my surroundings, and that I had greater potential than them. And that's what eventually led me to get onto self-improvement and improve my entire life forever. It finally got me on the right path, of the path that the 1% of most quality people in the world take. It made me quit the path that the 99% of pathetic and weak people take. Enjoy your teens and 20s. If you're a man, then you should grind as fuck until you're 30 years old. That's when you should enjoy the delayed gratification. And if you're wondering, no one remembers that time that you accidentally farted in 2nd grade and everybody laughed at it. Let me tell you, 99% of all your mistakes or these kinds of unfortunate situations are remembered by no one. So don't even think about them, okay? But if you still struggle to forget about your mistakes and move on, even after you take a lesson from them, if you still overthink about them, then that is a result of mindlessness. You see, when you're mindless, basically when your mind is just wandering around, then you get so many different little thoughts, and that makes you way more susceptible to get attacked by these unfortunate memories and all these awkward situations, even after you took the lesson from them and learned from them, so that they don't happen again. And so the way you get to improve your focus and your mindfulness is by doing these 3 healthy habits: journaling, meditation, and gratitude. Journaling basically takes your thoughts and puts them on something so that you don't think about them as often. Meditation just basically forces you to focus on one specific activity. And gratitude just makes you grateful for everything that you have in life. So I suggest that you look into these 3 healthy habits, because they are an essential part of your self-improvement journey, and you should start doing them every single day from now on. Okay? And as a last tip for making it this far into the video, which I really appreciate you, by the way, you have a lot of fucking potential. If you have traumatic experiences, like for example your mother was yelling at you for getting a bad grade in like 4th grade or something, or you had a car accident for example, and now you have a fear of cars, or a fear of older women basically raising their voice, then you need to use that journaling healthy habit that we just talked about and try to classify those traumatic experiences. Like for example, the time that your mom was yelling at you for getting that bad grade was because she was actually, in a weird kind of way, making you more motivated, because that was the only way that her parents made her to, study more also. So you can classify it just like that, as her loving you and trying to motivate you more. And you can use it now as a motivation to build an amazing business for yourself so that you can retire her. Or that car accident, you can basically classify it as your dad not being a very good driver, and you can use it as a motivation to become the best driver that you can become, so your children don't have to suffer the same traumatic experience as you did. So remember, you have your own path in life. Your mistakes aren't the end of the world. Your struggles foreshadow your success. Like for example, if you have the traumatic experiences, if you learn from those mistakes and from those traumatic events, and you use the motivation to make other people's lives better, the universe will repay that positive energy tenfold. Your prime as a man starts at 30 years old, and do journaling, meditation, and gratitude, and get on to self-improvement in general. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, no one is better at being you.